The determining of a target learner is merely a concern, a way of summarizing the need to specify, selected and appropriate, appraise the people to be trained. All through the design of any training course is strongly influenced by a careful analysis of the roles. It is obviously influenced also by the type of person likely to need such training. The course must be designed for the people to be trained, and it is most wasteful and insufficient to design a course without profiling the target group or learners. So, just to put it in a more clear or more understandable manner, what they're actually trying to say to you is, first, try and identify what type of candidates or learners you have. It would be pointless to execute or to start designing your facilitation around persons that already have a current knowledge about your course that you're going to facilitate. We would rather refer them to RPL process or RPL assessment process. So this is where, as you can see, your preparation already starts, and it's already revolving around the type of learners and the learners. What are their current knowledge? What can I do to improve the skill sets? What are the current skill sets? Remember, it has an impact on your facilitation, because you'd find most participants already have a set of skills. So this means you also need to adjust your facilitation. You need to bring in your expectation a bit higher for those participants. A target learning description helps the trainer to make decisions about the following: the appropriate starting point of the course you are designing, the learning experience needed, examples to be given, and materials to be used for that particular group of trainees. What sort of rewards and methods of appeal you can use with the course participants in order to motivate them. What to avoid in your presentation. How to amend your learning outcomes when it appears that your expectations of the trainees may have been too high or too low. So, in identifying your target learners, or identifying the type of learners, this will help you where to start, how to start your course off, how to design that point of starting your course. It will help you also to see what type of materials you can use, or examples or methods to apply. Now, in facilitation, we have different types of methods. As I've mentioned, it's not just by presenting, standing in front of a class and doing all the talking and presenting it on a PowerPoint presentation clip or on a chalkboard. There's various ways. Some adults, and this is just briefly regarding experience now. When you find yourself with adults, when you start training with adults, some of them would prefer to read rather than for you to present certain sections to them, because they'd find it more useful for them. They would take in more information if they read certain sections on their own. So this is just where you get the different types of learners into your class and how you can approach them. It will also help you to avoid what you can use in your presentation. Remember, there can be sensitive information, or what you maybe see that is not sensitive may be sensitive to other learners. How to amend your learning outcomes. So this is, remember now, you need to work according to an outcome. So as I've mentioned, each course belongs to the SAQA US, to a SAQA document. On that SAQA document, there is specific outcomes that needs to be met. This I'll show you also later on the course. But in order for you as a facilitator also to have the current knowledge is you need to see what are those outcomes and how can you as the facilitator meet those outcomes. Now, quick one, outcomes. This course has 3 outcomes. We've gone through them as the 3 modules. So instead of calling them modules, we call them outcomes because this is what a learner needs to know at the end of the course, is in and to achieve those outcomes. Right characteristics which may be sufficient in designing a training course are as follows. Physical characteristic, education, motivation, interest, attitude, bias, prejudice. Let's go through each and one of them. Physical characteristics. The physical nature of the trainee may influence the tools and procedures that can be used in facilitation. Describe the general nature of your learners. Indicate general handicaps as well as assets such as special strength and endorsement. So be careful, guys. If you're going to facilitate a course that you might want to bring in a demonstration or a physical part where candidates need to participate, first have a look at what type of learners do you have in your class. Is there anyone that has a medical condition or anyone that has any medical problems or a disability? Remember, this will have an effect on the facilitation. Your primary goal is you want all participants to be able to participate in your facilitation. So everyone needs to feel involved in your facilitation. Sorry. Even though if there's someone or some candidates that might have a medical condition, we need to cater still for them. They still have the right to receive the training. We are not allowed to discriminate against any candidate, even though they have a special need. So this is where the physical characteristic comes in. Education. The kind of formal and informal training and educations the trainees have previously received will significantly influence the length of the course. Type, if example, to be used acceptable vocabulary and the obstructions that can meaningfully be used. Motivation. Are the learners generally eager to learn this material or is motivation a problem? The lower the facilitation estimation of learners' motivation, the more effort will be required to maintain learners' interest of each step of the learning process. So depending on the type of learners you have and what are their current abilities, you need to see how are you going to still keep your facilitation interesting, and also how are you going to motivate them. Remember now, if a learner is not motivated during the facilitation process, and remember now, it's not you as the learner, as a facilitator, to find a learner competent or not incompetent. That part is the assessor's responsibility. So if your facilitation was not successful enough, which means is if a candidate goes through to the assessment part, he or she would fail. The assessor would pick it up that there wasn't appropriate facilitation conducted with the learner. So it's very important to see how you're going to motivate and ensure that all learners are eager to learn from you, because it will have effect on their outcomes when it comes to the assessment. It will have effect even for them to achieve the unit standard or the qualification if it wasn't presented in a manner for them to understand and to participate. Interests. What kind of things are the trainees interested in? Knowing their interests, skills, or abilities will assist the trainee in determining course prerequisites. So what it means is, if you know what are your participants interested in, are they interesting? Do they find it more interesting in having a short video clip in between? Or are they more interested in demonstrations? Knowing those interests will help you to determine how to physically plan your facilitation. Very important part, actually. Because if we don't know what our participants are interested in, our approach that we're going to implement might be affecting them in such a way that the facilitation will fail at the end. So this is where we need to know what are their interests, what are their skills. Attitudes, bias, prejudices. Does your target group consist primarily of one ethnic group? What are their strong convictions and bias? This information may also influence the kind of examples you can effectively use and may provide other clues to trainees' motivation. The more the facilitator knows about the target learners, the more accurately will he be able to define the objective of the training and determine the content of the course. And the more accurately he will be able to subtract what is known from what needs to be known. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to find yourself in a class where it's mixed gender, there's mixed cultures, everything. The main focus is you need to see or you need to determine, and this can be done even through one-on-one interviews or even through a basic checklist that you ask the learners to complete before you start planning for your facilitation. Remember, as we said, it might be that you show a picture that can be that someone interprets incorrectly, but your intention was to actually give a example where they might find it not as an example. And this will also help you to see where you can motivate your current group that you have or your current participants. As I've mentioned in the beginning, remember now, this is where the fun part comes in. You can, after you've obtained all the information that is necessary about your participants, you can abstract then what they need to know from what is needed to be known. So it means is you can then take parts of the course and present it in your own way so it's understandable to them. If you already determine what are the current skills, what are the current group that you have, what are the target group, what do they know? We don't want to be training people on certain sections where they already know these sections. We want to be able to train them and adapt so they can adapt a new skill set. So by now,